ever get that feeling like you've made a huge mistake? Not like a small, oops, I burned dinner kind of mistake, but a big one. The kind that sits in your gut like a rock and doesn't let you sleep. That was me. The moment I stepped foot into the house, I felt it, but you know how it is. I brushed it off. New house jitters, right? This was supposed to be my fresh start. I'd been saving up for years, and this was my dream. A cozy little fixer-upper out in the suburbs. It had charm, creaky wooden floors, those big windows that let in so much light during the day, and even a wraparound porch. It was perfect, at least during the daylight. But at night, it felt wrong. The first night I stayed there, I was exhausted. Moving is no joke, especially when you're doing it solo. I barely had the energy to unpack, so I just threw a mattress on the floor of my bedroom, climbed in, and passed out. I woke up around 3 a.m. to the sound of footsteps. Clear as day, someone was walking around downstairs. My first thought, someone had broken in. I grabbed the nearest thing I could use as a weapon, a hammer I'd left on the floor, and crept down the stairs as quietly as I could. When I got to the living room, the footsteps stopped. There was no one there. I checked the doors and windows. Everything was locked tight. I even checked the closets and the basement, but nothing. I chalked it up to the house settling. You hear that all the time, right? Old houses make noise. But the next few nights, things got weirder. It started with small things. I'd hear faint noises, like a chair scraping across the floor or a door creaking open. But when I went to check, nothing was out of place. Then, one night, I was lying in bed scrolling on my phone, trying to fall asleep, when I heard it. A laugh. Not just any laugh. It was high-pitched, almost childlike, but distorted, like someone was trying to mimic a child, but didn't quite know how. It came from right outside my bedroom door. I froze. Every hair on my body stood up. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. I just stared at the door, waiting for, I don't even know what. And then, slowly, the doorknob started to turn. I wanted to scream, but my throat felt like it was clamped shut. The knob jiggled, like whoever or whatever was on the other side was trying to get in. And then it stopped. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I tried to tell myself it was a dream. Stress, exhaustion, whatever excuse I could come up with to make it make sense. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. That day, I decided to explore the house more, see if I could figure out where the noises were coming from. I hadn't spent much time in the basement, mostly because it gave me the creeps. It was cold and smelled like damp earth, and the single light bulb hanging from the ceiling barely lit the room. As I was looking around, I noticed something weird in the corner. The wall looked off, like the bricks didn't match the rest of the foundation. I tapped on it, and it sounded hollow. Curiosity got the better of me, so I grabbed a crowbar and started prying at the bricks. Behind the wall was a small hidden room. It was empty, except for one thing, a single wooden chair placed right in the center of the room, facing the wall. There were scratches all over the floor, like the chair had been dragged back and forth. And written on the wall, in what looked like charcoal, was a single word: leave. I stumbled out of there so fast I nearly fell up the stairs. That night, I decided I wasn't going to let my imagination get the better of me. I poured myself a stiff drink, turned on all the lights, and settled in for the night. Around midnight, I heard the laugh again. This time, it was louder, closer. It came from the living room, I grabbed my phone and crept down the stairs. The air felt heavy, like the entire house was holding its breath. When I turned the corner into the living room, my heart nearly stopped. There, standing in the middle of the room, was a figure. It looked like a woman, but wrong. Her limbs were too long, her neck was bent at an unnatural angle, and her face, God, her face. It was pale and hollow, with dark, empty sockets where her eyes should have been. She tilted her head like she was looking at me, even though she had no eyes. And then she smiled. Her mouth stretched impossibly wide, revealing rows of jagged teeth. I dropped my phone and ran. I didn't stop running until I was in my car, speeding down the road. I didn't care that I was barefoot or that I'd left all my stuff behind. I just needed to get out of there. The next day, I called a moving company to pack up my things. I couldn't bring myself to go back in the house, so I waited outside while they did it. One of the movers came out, looking pale and shaken. "Did you know there's a chair in the basement?" he asked. I nodded. "Well, it's not there anymore. It's in the living room now." I moved out that same day. I never went back to that house. I don't even drive through that neighborhood anymore. But sometimes late at night, I'll hear a laugh outside my window. And every now and then, when I wake up, I'll find a single word written on my mirror. Stay.